We can help somebody. Somewhere is going to listen to that someday and go, "Fuck that! That's what I needed to hear." That's beautiful. Hello, wrenches, and welcome back to another episode of the Wrench Terrorist Podcast, 10 Mil Mastery Edition. It's a show where the lads and I discuss topics that are relevant to today's technicians and service leaders, and we get into the tidbits and granular bits and all the stuff between our toes, as it were, to find out how to help technicians and service leaders be happier and healthier on the shop floor. In today's episode, I asked lads, how do we identify insecure leaders? Let's get into it. Raise this. How, as a technician, during an interview, do you pick out an insecure leader? Russell.
Well, I actually ask as many as 40 questions during an interview. I have them written down. And if the person can't answer, if they don't know their data, if they don't have goals, if they say things like, we're not a destination, so it's really hard to find people that want to work here. That's a red flag. If they say things like, we're just a big family here, that's a huge red flag. And if they can't introduce me to their team while we're sitting in the office without having the team in front of me, then that's a huge red flag to me, because they don't even know their people. How are they bringing in a quality person when they don't even know their own team and know how you would fit in with their team? So do they even have a team, or is it just a cutthroat environment where everyone's trying to destroy everyone in hopes of getting a little more gravy? And so anyway, things I watch for.
Do you think you could identify specifically? So I want to be super specific with this one, because insecure resonates with me really highly. I very early on in my career as a leader, I was super insecure and arrogant all at the same time. The arrogant part, I was young. The insecure part is a different. And I look at insecurity as an important thing to identify in a leader, because if they're insecure, do I want to work for somebody who's incapable of pulling the trigger on toxic people in the shop? Insecure leaders are not going to be able to make the hard decisions at the time they need to be made. Richard, I'm willing to bet that he's going to be able to attest to this, where if you have insecure leaders, they don't want to make decisions. They will defer decisions until the cows come home, until somebody else makes a decision or shit hits the fan and they get ousted because it's been far too long that they didn't make a decision. Insecurity, I think, drives too many negative things.
They won't fire a person that...
Right?
They won't fire a person that's screwing things up because they don't want to hurt them.
Right? So how would you...
This isn't a charity. This is a business.
You said you asked 40 questions. What do you think is one of your questions that you asked that could identify an insecure leader? Chew on that for a minute, because I think Richard chomping at the bit here.
Ask them to talk to one of their top producers. They're not gonna, like most top producers, you pull them aside, like without the manager there, and then you can ask them just straight up, like, how's the shop? I'm looking at coming in here, and I need a straightforward answer, and they're going to give you a straightforward answer. They're going to tell you, Manager X is a complete dickhead and doesn't know how to do their job, or they're going to tell you like they're the best boss I've ever had, or there's some middle ground there, right? But most of the time, you're going to get your insecure hiring managers. They're not going to let you talk to anybody. Their focus is on micromanaging and control, right? They want to control the situation. They want to control what's going on. They want to control their environment. They want to control. It'll get to the point where they think that they're controlling shit by letting these great technicians do their job, and then you get hired, and then you go and work side by side with these techs, and you're like, you're a fucking pinhead. Like, what are you still doing here? How have you not been fired? Or they've lied on their resume, or they've said they've been a technician or journeyman for X amount of years, and then after working with them for a while, they let a few things slip, and you're like, okay, you're this age, and you got your ticket this time, and you've had this amount of, like, 1 and 1 doesn't equal 82. So someone's lying. You can tell pretty much quickly, especially toxic employees. You need to cut. Even high performing toxic employees, you need to let loose. It doesn't matter if they're a high performer, they are a high performer, high value to the shop. If they are destroying that shop and spreading their toxicity, you need to get rid of them. And a strong, confident manager will step up to the plate and get rid of them, right?
I think Cynic said it, and I think Cynic is talking about the SEALs when they're talking about how they pick people to get on, like SEAL Team 6. I think it's a great analogy where it's performance and trust, and they label performance as all of the basic KPI stuff that just about every business has, specific KPIs for the business, but then they have on the bottom of that linear scale is trust. And it's like, one is trust in the team. The other is, would I trust you with my wife kind of deal. And the line drawn up the middle, the same kind of performance scale, performance over time or whatever. You always want the stuff in the top right corner, right? It's the fuck around to find out corner. The more you fuck around, the more you find out. At the top right of the corner is high trust, high performance. And at the top left is high performance, low trust. Now, the majority of leaders, the 80-20 rule, majority of leaders are going to be high performance, zero trust. Unfortunately, because we don't have anything to measure trust specifically, objectively, or very little to measure trust, high performers tend to be there even though they have no trust. The SEALs, on the other hand, they would rather try and measure somebody with medium performance but high trust, or even low performance with high trust, because they know that the entire team has their back. That 2x2 formation, so on and so forth, which I'm talking a little bit at a turn because I've got two vets on here that can correct me if I'm wrong. But you would rather have somebody on the team that you if they weren't a perfect shooter, but they always had your back, that's way more valuable to you as a teammate than somebody who's a perfect shooter, but you couldn't necessarily count on them all the time. Would I be correct, gentlemen? I get nods from both of you, so I think I'm on the right pace for there.
Yeah, I feel like the deal is you always want to feel like that person's going to get you out. You're going to get home.
Mm-hmm.
And you always have to be able to trust the person to the left of you and the person to the right of you. If something happens, they're going to get you home.
Awesome. Sarge, you agree?
Absolutely. And to that question, can I take your top performer to lunch?
That's a great phrase. So Richard put it where you're in the office. I wouldn't necessarily agree that you have to do either, but one of them is a great. Can I talk to your top producer without you? And to go so far as saying with Russell, can I take your top producer to lunch? That's a great way to get him out. And both mean, how do I talk to somebody who knows you well, who produces well, so I can get a true understanding of the store? If they're unwilling to do that, that is only a might, but that is a very good indicator if they're going to be insecure. Marshall, what would you say? What would you say is either a question or a way that you would find an insecure leader?
Well, things that I have done in the past is HD shops, they're usually open really late. So we're usually open, we have a first shift and a second shift minimum. Some of the bigger shops are open 24/7, so they'll have a third shift even. I have gone to a night shift and basically talked to all the technicians in the shop before. which worked in my favor in a couple of times. Sometimes they were like, "Yeah, this is we love it here, yada yada," and then other times it's like, "Dude, we're the night shift. Nobody cares about us. We never get any of the lunches. The day shift guys get all the lunches." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that doesn't really sound like a place I want to be at if they're always forgetting the night shift guys. That's messed up." um, things like that. I have done where you walk the shop and you talk to some of the guys in the shop, and I have asked to go to lunch with them before, just when I'm just walking through the shop to check it out. Because sometimes they're like, "Yeah, this is our foreman," and he'll walk you around the shop. The service manager's trying to do other things, to talk to some service writers, get some other things lined out, and then you'll go out with the foreman in the shop, and then you can just ask one of them, like, "Hey, this guy looks like he's lined out," and they'll be like, "Hey man, where you guys going for lunch today?" And then you just meet them there.
Mm.
And you don't even, you can do it on the download. You don't even got to ask him. So or I've just figured out what his name tag was on his shirt and find him on Facebook and message him on Facebook. Those are all kind of backdoor ways that you can do things. I mean, it's
Full on
pretty.
tactical. Full on tactical.
I mean, I'm not trying. I mean, dude, sometimes it might, I don't know. I don't try to ruffle any feathers. So sometimes it's just easier if I do it on the down low. And then
Hey,
I know nobody's.
The four of us, buddy, don't do that. Don't do that, because at the end of the day, the four of us are here for one purpose. We're trying to make technicians' lives happier, healthier, more productive. And at the end of the day, if we can save somebody from walking into a toxic fucking shop and work for some insecure fucking asshole who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, that's what we're here for. Because 80% of the time, I don't have a stat for that, but I'm pretty damn sure 80% of the time they're walking into a trap, or they're walking into a place that they shouldn't have said yes to. All of us have been in places that we don't want to work. And whether it's just not where we want to work or it's fucking awful, the last thing I want anyone to do is not have the tools in their toolbox upstairs in their head, to be able to ask the right questions at the right time so that they can find a place that they fit. Because a high-value leader, a true high-value leader, will change your fucking life.
Another backdoor scenario that I've used is, so I had the same Snap-on guy for like the first 6-7 years of my career. And he always looked out for me when I was an apprentice. And he was always like, "Oh, I'm trying to buy this thing." And he'd be like, "Nah, fam, you don't need that. Once you buy this set of wrenches." And that's one of the things that I took with me as a mentor. But because he always was like, "No, you're not ready for another box yet, yada yada," and he would never oversell me. But anyway, I knew he was a good dude, and I've asked him, like, I was looking at making a move, and I was asking him about it, and he's like, "No, that's not. You don't want to go over there right now. They're having a bunch of management problems and yada yada." And I really wanted to work at this place, and I every once in a while he'd check in on me and be like, "Hey," and then one day he's like, "Hey, now's the time. If you're trying to get over there, they got this new service manager over there, and he's lined out." And I was like, "All right, cool." So then I went over and applied finally. But he also was like, "Hey, this guy here, talk to this guy." And he gave me his first and last name, and then I reached out to him on Facebook, and that's how I kind of came up with that, was because he was their Snap-on dealer, so he knew all the technicians in the shop, and he was like, "Hey, just reach out to this guy on Facebook or something and say, hey, I got your info from the Snap-on guy," and he goes, "I've been knowing that guy for like 10-12 years, so just reach out to him and he'll tell you what's what." And that's what I did. And then so you can also kind of use that to your benefit. You don't have to like take the tool truck guy and take his word for it, but you could maybe dig a little info out of him and say, "Hey, who's hot shit over at Toyota over there?" And maybe if you wouldn't mind, if I could get just get his name so I could look him up on social media or something, I could reach out to him, because I'm trying to think about making a move over there. And I'd guarantee it, most of the time they'd be like, "Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, they pay more and I'm going to make more money from that guy."
Nice.
So they're trying to get you lined out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, buddy. All right. Oh, no. That's the end of another episode, Wrenches. But there'll be another one coming next week. If you enjoyed the show, and we really hope that you did, but if you enjoyed the show so much that you'd like to participate in one of these panel discussions with the lads, reach out, Joshua at justworkhard.com. Folks, we really hope that you appreciate and hope you learn from the show. We hope you enjoy the show, and we hope you subscribe to the show. And folks, remember, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away. How many takes is that? Or takes than I care to admit. Let's try this again. Okay. That sounds like shit. Fuck it. We'll send. I was recording too. Hi!